So in the previous lesson, we discussed about what faceless content is, the advantages and disadvantages over conventional content creation, and why I personally believe and evidence has shown that in the future, faceless content will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. One of the key reasons why I genuinely believe that faceless content will change the way and will democratize completely content creation for everyone is the fact that it's just super accessible and it applies to all niches. But what does this actually mean? This phrase that it applies to all niches. Well, this is exactly what we're analyzing in this lesson right here. In this lesson, in the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about choosing your niche and your faceless content identity. It is super important to niche down, right? And keep sub niching to make the most out of your faceless content journey. Because imagine everyone, right, having the ability, which they do have, right, to create faceless content. This means that content, right, will start being produced in bulk, right, and multiple niches will be saturated. This means that great opportunity lies in sub niches, and this is exactly again what we're analyzing in this lesson right here. So, welcome to choosing your niche and your faceless content identity. Again, in this lesson, we will define how to pick the right niche and build a unique faceless creator identity that stands out and gives you this creative competitive advantage. So, why does your niche matter in this faceless content space? So your niche determines the type of content you create and how fast you can grow on any platform, right? There are ceilings to niches, right? There are certain numbers of people on each niche. As you can imagine, like Apple Magic Mouse enthusiasts, right? The niche of Apple Magic Mouse enthusiasts is way smaller than the niche of, let's say, baking apple pies or tennis players, right? So you can imagine that choosing the correct niche and choosing the correct way to position yourself in this space of content is super important. A clear niche helps you build consistency, which algorithms again reward heavily because again, audience rewards consistently heavily. Faceless creators succeed fastest when they follow a focused niche rather than posting random content. And this is the biggest point that I want you to take from this lesson right here, that it's much more worth staying consistent in a super narrow and super focused niche now that everyone has the ability to create faceless content rather than just producing random content on topics that are just interesting to you. And you can definitely produce random top content on topics that are interesting to you, but with a specific strategy that we're going to be analyzing later on in this course. So, what are the three elements of a profitable niche? And when I say profitable, I'm not just referring to the monetary value that you're going to be getting from your content. When I say profitable, I mean a niche, right, that will be growing in the future and will just reward you the most when producing the content and when seeing the results of your content. So, a good niche must have high audience demand, right? So your content is always relevant. You want to be focusing on a niche that has high audience demand, a niche that is growing, not shrinking, right? It should be easy to produce faceless visuals for the topic that you're covering, right? So you also, I want you from now to keep in mind the fact that we will be generating visual content too, right? So the content that we're targeting shouldn't be that hard to produce regarding visuals. So imagine, let's say that your niche is a something associated with sci-fi. I mean, now with AI, it isn't actually that hard to create sci-fi videos, but you get the point. It should be easy to produce faceless visuals, right? And it must also align with monetization opportunities, such as affiliate links, UGC brand deals, or digital products, if you're also considering to monetize your faceless content. Again, business, right? Which is completely possible and it's completely doable. And maybe now it's not your number one, let's say, priority to make money out of faceless content, but there is a chance that you will be able to do so. There's a high chance you will be able to make money from your faceless content. And it would be a shame to set wrong foundation from now, because maybe in 1 year, in 2 years from now, you wish to make some bucks out of your faceless content. So why not align your niche from now with something that has monetization opportunities, right? So here are some niches that work extremely well for faceless creators. Those are right here are some niches that I suggest, and they're also not hyper sub niched, which means that you can take these and just start brainstorming on them and choose a sub niche out of these niches. In general, just to keep you updated on how the niches work in the content space, there are three, again, core niches: the niche of health, the niche of wealth, and the niche of relationships. And all of the different sub niches lie under the umbrella of either health, wealth, and relationships. Now, the theory states that you should be sub niching into every single one of these big three core niches until you find exactly the spot where you're better than the competition and there's still a large volume of people that you can target. This is how you dominate in the content creation space, right? So let's talk about the niches that again work extremely well for faceless creators. We're talking about productivity, right? AI tools, tech tips, digital skills. These grow fast. You will be able to grow fast in these niches without showing a face because these niches are, again, information based. All of those niches that we're elaborating on in this slide right here are information based. And when people are interested in information, they do not care about how the information is conveyed to them, right? They do not care about the medium in which information travels through, which in this case will be your content, right? Which is good that they don't care about it because we can automate it and we can scale it, right? So they do not care that there is not a face, for example, behind the information that you're giving them. They're just there for the information, and you are just, again, giving this information out in a way that you love, right? So finance, again, money tips, investing basics. This is also a niche in which if you set correct foundation and you choose to target this niche, you can also make money, right? And you can actually generate more income from this niche right here, the niche of finance, the niche of money, compared to other niches, because the audience that you're targeting usually has more budget to spend, and this is something that brands really like. Motivation, storytelling, right? Quote based content work great with music and stock footage, and this is actually the niche which you can grow exponentially, because people really get hooked on motivation, they get hooked on storytelling, and this drives engagement and viewer retention. Just these two metrics skyrocket, and you can see that your content will, it's very likely to go viral if you're targeting motivation, storytelling, and quote based content. Also, travel, lifestyle, reviews, they perform awesomely because there's a huge catalog of b-roll and stock footage, animations, and screenshots that you can use to accompany the music or the text or the audio that you've chosen for this niche. So those are just four niches that you can think of, right? Choose which one, let's say, matches your style and your vibe and your personal, let's say, interests more, and then keep sub niching. Let's say, for example, you like traveling. I wouldn't just create a faceless, let's say, profile and account around traveling. I would go for, let's say, best destinations in Europe to eat, right? Or best canteens in Europe to eat. Just keep sub niching and sub niching and sub niching. You don't just want to be doing, let's say, finance content creation. You want to be doing, let's say, finance for 18-year-olds who are just out of school and haven't gone to university yet. You just want to keep sub niching and sub niching. So, how can you actually validate your niche? Let's say that you've chosen a niche. Now it's time to validate it before we again start setting up the systems of faceless content creation. We want to validate our niche. So the first thing that you can do is that you can search on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Reels, and even long form, again, content, right? For the top 20 viral videos. And I'm going to show you how to do this in the next lesson. I want you to choose and actually search for the top 20 viral videos, if of any niche. This could be faceless or with a normal creator. If many creators post faceless content in that niche, it is a strong signal of demand. I don't want you to get discouraged when you see other people posting faceless content on your niche, because like competition isn't a metric of, let's say, saturation. And is it a bad thing? This means that there is demand there, right? And people are consuming this content. So you might be able to squeeze in this market and actually make a difference, especially if you keep sub niching. So check how frequently content goes viral to understand the growth potential of your niche. And if you can list 30 to 50 content ideas quickly, the niche is super easy to execute. You can also brainstorm different niches and brainstorm ways to validate your niche with AI and GPT. Really, it's not that hard. But again, an awesome way to perform research is to just get in these algorithms yourself and start not only mindlessly consuming content, but also in the back of your mind, checking out content from the stance of a content creator. So let's see some common mistakes that people make when choosing a niche and potentially some mistakes that you can avoid, right? So the first one is picking a niche only because it's trending, right? And trends, they go as waves. You can exponentially, grow with a wave, but then the wave always smoothens out. So you should choose one niche that you can produce content consistently, and it's not just trend based. Yes, it is good for you to tap in and align with trends, right, to exponentially grow with the trends, but you need to find a way to future proof your work. You should avoid niches that require a strong personality unless you plan to use AI avatars or voice. But again, in my personal opinion, after creating like tens of thousands of pieces of content, both faceless and with a face, I can guarantee you that currently AI avatars cannot completely replace normal content creators. Like you see me here, I'm a real person. Like I promise, I'm instructing this course, and yes, I am delivering information to you. But there is like some sort of connection here between us, if it makes sense, right? But with an AI avatar, it would be completely soulless at this point. Maybe in some months, in some years, when AI really advances this, again, this difference between a normal content creator and an AI avatar wouldn't be so evident. But for now, I wouldn't choose a niche that requires a strong personality, because that's something that AI doesn't have, right? Personality. So don't choose a niche that requires personality. Don't choose a niche that needs constant face to camera storytelling unless you can adapt. Again, you can adapt it to your faceless content, again, creation. And the best niche is the one that you can create in every week without burning out. So I'm really a huge advocate of choosing a niche which you love. For example, in I've heard of one of my like best content creation friends, right? He is a faceless content creator. He has literally like generated tens of millions of views with his faceless content, and he chose to actually start a new channel around tennis just because he loves tennis, right? And he wants to be involved in the tennis space, and he wants to be informed in the tennis space and engage with audience in the tennis space. That's why he completely shifted and created a new channel around tennis, right? So what is your faceless content identity? Your content identity is different from your content niche, if it makes sense. Your faceless identity is the style, right, of your content, the tone, the personality that your content represents without showing your face. And this is how you can actually outsmart people and gain a competitive advantage with your style, your tone, and your, again, faceless identity. So this identity includes your voice style, your visual style. Where do you source visuals? Where do you source the voice? Do you, for example, manually record your voice in this faceless content journey? Do you source it from an AI avatar? What's the pacing of your videos, the font that you use, right? The color usage, right? And this acts as your branding on your faceless content journey. Even though, again, you remain completely behind the scenes, you can still have a very prominent and strong brand, even though you completely remain behind the scenes. So a strong faceless identity helps viewers instantly recognize your content. They do not need to be following you or subscribed. Subscribers and followers really don't matter nowadays. The only thing that matters is having a consistent identity, so people know exactly who you are, right? Just by watching one of your videos, regardless of if they're subscribed or not. So here's some elements of a strong faceless identity. The first one is a clear and consistent voice style. So you can have, for example, a human voiceover, and that's also a great way to add your personal touches to your content, even if it's faceless. You can still do voiceovers. And if you don't even want to do voiceovers, or you have, like, let's say, a small accent or you're not a huge fan of, purchasing a microphone, for example, you can still use AI voice or text only. Consistent visuals are super important, and I'm very happy because in this course I'm going to show you an awesome way to source visuals that I have been using for like years now, and it has been evolving and it will evolve, right, moving on in this content journey, right? So again, for captions, animations, transitions, you need to source correct visuals because if everyone can create faceless content, you need to have a competitive advantage. So again, a recognizable pacing style. This could be fast, this could be calm, dramatic, minimal, right? Slower, but you need to have a recognizable and consistent pacing style. This is how we create branding with our content and with our faceless content in this case. You want to have a specific value that you deliver in every single piece of content. You want your pacing to be, again, the same across your content. You want the visuals, the voice to be the same. And because that's how we create, let's say, a brand around our content, just with consistency. You don't need to mention that this is my type of content. You just need to prove it over and over and over again with consistency across your whole videos. So let's now talk about creating your signature style. The first one is colors, right? It's super cool and super straightforward to create a style of yours with colors. So choose a color palette and a font style that just appears in all of your content. That's like the most simple way to show consistency across your content with color palette and a font style. Secondly comes your tone. So your tone could be educational, motivational, entertaining, mysterious, or factual. It really depends on the niche that you choose and how much you want to sub niche. So for example, it's super weird to create mysterious content around, let's say, a sport, right? So it's not that easy to create mysterious content over sport, but it's super easy to create motivational content around sport, right? Because sports motivate people. So choose again your tone, define your tone based on your niche, and do not go with something that is super hard to source and find. So for example, again, mysterious tone over athletic type of content, right? Then you can use specific types of footage that can be kept consistent, right, all over your content. We're talking about B-roll, clean tech visuals, aesthetic clips, right? You need to be able to source footage from the same, right, source to keep them consistent across all of your content. And your signature style should feel simple enough to recreate, yet unique enough to stand out. This is the golden recipe of, again, producing consistent signature style across your content, right? Now, a faceless creator avatar is something that it's a point that needs to be addressed in the faceless creation journey of yours. And I want you to think of your faceless avatar as the character behind your content. Now, your faceless avatar doesn't need to be seen, right? So many people actually do not show an avatar on their faceless content. They just narrate the content and they have like some videos playing in the background, right? And that's it. But you can also have, let's say, a character. This could be a mentor, a storyteller, a coach, a narrator, or an expert. And this can be an AI generated character. And you will see, like, in the next months and in the next years with AI, more and more AI agents, more and more AI avatars will start to pop off in faceless content creation. And again, you can use AI voices or consistent narration style to make your avatar recognizable. So viewers will connect with your avatar. Obviously, the point of connection will be a bit lower than connecting with a genuine, real human being of like traditional content. But then again, they will be able to connect with your avatar even if they never see your face, which is something super valuable because now we can scale the content. So let's talk about combining your niche and identity for maximum growth in this faceless content journey of yours. Your niche determines, again, what you talk about, and your identity determines how you deliver it, right? So I think this is well established, and it's one of the key points of this lesson right here. When the niche and identity align, your content becomes instantly memorable and super unique. And platforms reward creators with a consistent formula. So again, you need to repeat your winning style offer. And this combination becomes your brand even without showing your real self. Again, consistency around what you talk about and how you deliver it create this brand that people value, people will follow, and you can later on monetize and keep scaling and growing. So again, to summarize what happened in this lesson, you should really choose a niche with demand, ease of production, and monetization potential. Those are the three parameters that you need to take into consideration right now, right, where you're in this early stage of your faceless content journey. Create a faceless identity using visual style, voice, pacing, and tone. This is how you create your identity. You can validate your niche by analyzing viral content and idea volume from short form content algorithms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And this strong combination of niche and identity makes your faceless content super scalable and super recognizable. So the next step, the next part of this course, right, in your faceless content journey, is to explore how to actually research viral content and how to find trends that make faceless videos explode. So this is what's happening in the next lesson of this course. We're going to be talking about how to research viral faceless content. We're launching these algorithms. I'm going to show you how I also research content, videos, and niches that I might want to tap in the future. So I'm super excited to have you here. See you in the next lesson of this course.